Hi there, business owner. Are you looking to improve your business knowledge? Do you want to see behind the scenes of successful businesses? And more importantly, are you looking to build a better business in just 15 minutes each week? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the 3Bs podcast.
And it comes back to that failing fast. If you lean in, listen, give it a go. If it doesn't work, you turn it off.
Yeah, one of my favourite phrases is you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you speak. And I think that's incredibly powerful in all areas of life, not just business.
Yeah, 100%.
So on the other side of that, because like I said, there's 2 ways I kind of see Gen Z marketing as a topic. And that is sort of what are your 3 top tips or things to consider when using Gen Z marketing techniques? Because the way that we market has definitely changed. And there is a place for the old school leafleting and flyering marketing, but there's definitely more marketing techniques now. And what Gen Z marketing techniques do you think you should consider?
Yeah, I think it's all about really staying current with the trends. I think TikTok is a really great example of a platform that has just boomed out of nowhere. And interestingly, with TikTok in particular, it's now the world's most popular search engine for Gen Z. So nearly 40% of Gen Z actually prefer the app over Google for searches, and that's according to Google's own data. And I can really attest to that because, now if I want to look up a recipe or whatever, I'll just go on TikTok and watch a 30, 45-second video rather than kind of scroll through, an article online of a recipe. So I think there has been a rapid rise of TikTok, and more Gen Zers do use TikTok than Instagram. And it's quite nuts when I was doing some research for my talk at Accountex, but according to research, individuals spend 23 hours on TikTok per month. And again, when I was kind of then thinking of my own personal experience, I can probably believe it because I probably spend at least an hour, if not 2, maybe a day on TikTok, just scrolling through content. And again, I think that kind of leans quite nicely into the second point, which is the power of video. Again, we've seen this huge surge in video. And according to Adobe, when they did a survey, millennials spend an average of 5 hours a day consuming content on mobile. And that rises to almost 6 hours for Gen Z. So I think, again, if you're thinking of whether it's that daily commute in the morning, 45 an hour on the underground or a train or whatever, a lot of the time people are digesting content on video. And quite often now you'll see videos with, closed captions at the bottom, because if you're in a public space and you've not got headphones, you still want to watch it and you can still see the content at the bottom. So I think video is absolutely a trend to see it. But I think with video, I guess my top tip with video is it's creating channel specific content. Quite often you'll see businesses just do like one video and put it out on all channels. And really it's about different social media platforms needs different content. And it's also trying not to be everything to everyone. So you might realize as a business that, your demographic or your engagement is maybe a lot less on Facebook, but actually it's really high on Instagram and TikTok. And it's leaning into those channels that are working for you and just maybe adapting the content slightly for some of those channels that you're not seeing great engagement with. I think don't have that expectation that you're going to put a video out there and you're going to get the same level of engagement on every platform, because it just won't be the case. So yeah, I'd always say with video, keep it short, keep it engaging. The average attention span for Gen Z is 8 seconds, which is nuts. But if you think of the fact that you've got 8 seconds to really capture their attention, if not, they're scrolling past it. So again, I always kind of challenge businesses. If you're not getting your message across within that 8 seconds, they're going to scroll past it.
Amazing. I am evidently a millennial because I am so apprehensive with moving to TikTok. I just feel like it's another platform for me to be on. I am a LinkedIn girl through and through, but then our business is a business to business, not business to consumer. And I think the client base you have and where your client base hangs out is what we always say is where you should be hanging out. But at the same time, I feel you have to enjoy the platform. You have to enjoy creating the content and also absorbing content on the platform to understand what's working and what's not. Would you agree with that?
100%. And, LinkedIn, you raise a really good example there. I do think gone are the days where if Gen Z are looking for a job, it's kind of not through those traditional, job board sites that we probably typically maybe used to use in our day. They do tend to go to LinkedIn. And a lot of the Gen Zs that, again, in my previous life at Iris, that we got in through the door were through LinkedIn. And again, a lot of the Gen Zs that I know use LinkedIn as the go-to. So I absolutely think it's about being where your audience is. And again, it just comes back to that point. Don't try to be everything to everyone. If your audience isn't using, or you don't think they're going to be on a certain platform, just don't invest your time on it. Focus on the platforms where your audience is at.
Yeah, and like you said, short content, so it's 8 seconds you have to hook with.
Yeah, so 8 seconds is the hook, and then probably for videos, I would say you've got like 45 seconds to 60 seconds maximum window. I think after that, it's the attention span starts to switch off, but you've got 8 seconds of that to capture their attention, and then after that, I'd probably aim for 45 seconds.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, and short form content definitely has its place, but I mean, I feel like YouTube's definitely more longer form content. But then again, I'm millennial, not Gen Z, so maybe that's where I would go to YouTube and not Google and not TikTok personally. So if your client base is more millennial, I guess you would then go for the longer form content, knowing that your client is going to be on YouTube Googling for how to replace that screw rather than TikTok.
Exactly. Again, great example, because with YouTube, 32% of Gen Z use it the most. 85% of the demographic do use YouTube. And I think you really raise a great point around, if you go into YouTube, you're probably looking for that longer form content that's a few minutes. Whereas TikTok, Instagram, it's that short form video. So again, it comes back to that content piece of understanding that maybe you do social snippets for Instagram or TikTok, and maybe it's then the long form kind of explainer videos for something like YouTube that are more educational.
Yeah, and I guess I've got one question for you, really, is that do you feel like making content in bulk is the way forward, or do you feel like specific content should be created for a specific purpose?
I think there's pros and cons to both. I think absolutely with the bulk side, as a business, it allows you to forward plan. And again, we did that this year at Accountex with Iris. We filmed lots of video content that really we came away after it, and we were able to map out a content strategy for several months really with that content. And I think that that's really useful because it allows you to forward plan. But equally, I think, as I say, I think there's pros and cons to both, and it's about doing what's right for your business. Again, I think it's look at your client base, look at what people are responding to. If you think you can do a bulk, obviously that involves a massive amount of time and commitment to front load that. Equally, if you want to be quite agile and do it on your feet, there's pros and cons to both, I would say.
I think it's the same with any business, and we've already said it, haven't we? It's giving it a go, testing and measuring, seeing what works and what doesn't. For us, we like to bulk create content. The biggest thing, I had a guest on from another podcast. So Aaron Patrick came on from Ask the Accountant, and he was saying that they do theirs live every Monday morning, no matter what. Like for me, I have children at home. If I lose my voice, I can't record a podcast episode. And knowing I'm likely to get a cold at least once with 2 children at home in a year, like we definitely have to forward plan.
Yeah.
So I think it's what suits your business, right? And
100%. And I think it's really leaning into the fact that there is no right or wrong. It's down to, your circumstances, what's right for you. Exactly as you said, whether or not that's live or whether it weekly or whether it's bulk recording. I think pros and cons to both, but ultimately just do what's right by you.
And how regularly would you say, in your experience, you would review your marketing techniques before tweaking and adapting? Because you don't want to be throwing something out and then changing it the next week, because you kind of need a bit of time to see if it works.
Yeah, I think it is an ongoing process. I do think you have to give things a chance, obviously. So I think whatever it is, depending on the types of content or channel it is, but I would say that you want to do those regular reviews like every 30 days just to kind of look at performance. And again, that could be anything from your website. Quite often you'll see the smallest tweaks make the biggest world of difference. Like I've seen it before where we've had just changing the colour of a button to purple increases conversion on your website by X%. So it's really just, it's the fine tuning and the tweaking. But I think just regular reviewing, but if you're doing something like, a webinar program or a podcast program, I think just reviewing it, often. But equally, you've got to give things a chance. I think big believe in fail fast, but equally, the key with anything is consistency, and you've got to let something run for enough time to figure out if it's actually going to give you a tangible gain or not.
I absolutely love it, because every single person I've ever had on this podcast has always said consistency is key. And it's so nice to know it's not just me that harps on and on about it constantly. Consistency is key in everything. And I think in life and in business, whether that's fitness goals or business goals, I think consistency is key. Not that I can say it very well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our 3Bs listeners?
I think just from my side, I would always kind of say, adaptation isn't an option. It is imperative. I think ignoring Gen Z is a risk that any business can't afford to take. And for me, it's really about leaning in and tapping into that next generation. Fail fast, get down with the kids, or I think businesses kiss goodbye to staying relevant in tomorrow's market, really.
I'm going to have to get TikTok, aren't I?
I think lean in, give it a go.
We're going to have
surprised.
to.
Yeah, give it a go.
Well, you can hold me to it. Thank you so much for joining me, Callum. I love having a conversation with you. Where is the best place my listeners can come and find you?
Yes, you can catch me on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am on Twitter, or X as it's now known as well, but LinkedIn is the best place. And thank you so much for having me. I've been a big supporter of you for a while, and very honoured to be on your podcast, so thank you.
I love it. So for the audience and listeners, this is Callum's first ever podcast guest slot. And I am truly, truly honoured to have you. Like, you don't understand how excited I am that we've managed to make this work and that you've come on today. And I wish you so much luck with your new role. It's amazing. And stay in touch. And I will speak to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please connect with us on social media. Like, rate and review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that I can help more business owners build a better business. See you next week.